Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you didn't FOMO. We got a pullback here. Look at this. We have a nice three-wave pullback. The question is it finished and is it going to reverse the price? We'll see. We'll see about that. Let's talk about it. So let's get up here to the higher time frames and just look at what we got here. Actually, let's go to the 4-hour chart. So we almost made it to a 4-hour 9. I was looking at XRP and we nailed the 9. So look at that. That was a perfect trade. We came all the way down here. We had a 9 buy, right? We came up. We broke the green dots. I'm sorry. We broke the red dots and we came up and we made a 9 sell. But look at the candle. It was a reversal candle. That was a topping tail type of candle, right? So that was the signal, hey, take your profits. So, a pullback is to be expected. So the pump yesterday was not necessarily organic. It was based off the Ethereum ETF stuff. So typically when you have a news pump, you get a big after, like kind of like a hangover dump, right? So you go to a party, you feel good, you're hanging out and you're doing well. And then the next day you wake up, you're like, oh man, I drank too much or something, and you don't feel good. So that's, people were juicing it. Now that doesn't mean the price is going to reverse. It just means we need a pullback here. So let's see how that continues to play. So we'll look at Bitcoin now. So with Bitcoin, right, we had 1, 2, 3. We had a running flat for wave 4, and then we came up for wave 5. So the question is, do we have one more hit to the high? Or do we get our ABC and then we continue our ascent to the upside? There's a couple different ways we can count this. So either this is a finished 5-wave move, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if this is the 5th wave, is the 5th wave finished? Well, we have it kind of appears that way. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, unless this is 1, 2, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's wave 3, and this ABC pullback is wave 4. Then we need wave 5. So it would be 1, 2. All of this is 3. This is 4, and then we get 5. So that's kind of, if it's going to do it, I want to see it happen now. We have a beautiful ABC. Look at that ABC pullback. Look at that. We have a, like, it doesn't get any better than that. That's a perfect ABC. Now, who has the guts to buy that ABC? Because it doesn't feel like I should buy right now, right? Your psychology saying, no, we're going to keep going down. It doesn't feel good. You're coming off of a green candle, rush, and now you're facing the dreaded pullback. So you kind of don't feel like buying because you don't feel that goodness. But that's kind of how you got to work out your psychology and say, you know what? Let's just look at the facts. The facts are we got 1, 2, we got 3, 4, and 5. So the big thing is, you don't really know if it's going to turn into that. And that's why, as a trader, you kind of have to wait for the signal. But as an investor, dollar cost averaging isn't such a bad idea, right? So not financial advice, right? But at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out what the waves are doing here. So another way you can say it is this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's finished. Okay, we have a finished wave, and now we're getting an ABC pullback. So if we pull up the Fibonacci, we're still, we're not even at the 50 yet. So I'm not too hurry in a rush to buy at the moment. I mean, it could be an incredible moment to buy, but I want to see a little bit of proof in that. So, when I pull up the Fibonacci, we're not quite to the 50% line yet. I would say the 50% line would be a good place to DCA for Bitcoin. But if you measure it from the third wave, right? So instead of measuring it from this whole wave, I'm measuring it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If this is wave, this whole thing is wave 3, right? So this whole thing is wave 1, this is wave 2, and this thing is wave 3, and I'm measuring it from the bottom of wave 3 to the top of wave 3, then yes, we did hit the 50% line. So, there's a couple. So the thing is if this is, right, this is why trading is hard. It's not easy. It's difficult, but you have to rely on the indicators you got. So let's actually bump it up to the 20-minute chart here. The 20-minute has actually been not too bad here. We had multiple 9s, right? I mean, you can see we had a 9, right? We consolidated, pulled back. We broke out. We had another 9. We pulled back. We broke out. We had another 9, right? Look at the 9. It called the top here. It called the top here. And it called the top here. And it called the top here. And then we continued down, right? This 9 was a 9 buy. It didn't work. Why? Because look how many 9s we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So it probably won't correct on that first 9. So, looking for some support to get, to start coming in here. So, yeah, I want to see support get held on the 50 through the 618. So the real price I'm looking at is the 618. So right down here at 68,491. I'd like to see that get tagged. And that's kind of what I'm waiting for, to see if it occurs that way. We'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much Bitcoin. And to look at the Bitcoin chart, let's see if we can count in here, right? So we need, if this is an ABC, we need 5 waves in wave C. So we have A, right? And then we came up for a B wave, right? And then, let's see, did that B, yeah, it broke the top. So it's actually a complex B wave here, right? So it was actually 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's actually like this. We have A, and then this is A, B, and C. So this is a complex B wave. And now we're going down in wave C, or so it appears, right? So, I mean, it appears that we're getting close to the 5 waves, right? We have 1, 2, and then this looks like all 3. This is wave 4. We had some kind of flat in wave 4, and now we're going down into wave 5 of wave C. So if we look closer, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Something like that. We'll see. It's the 3-minute chart. It's very challenging to know exactly on these types of time frames, because I mean, you could see the waves are very, very choppy. So it's much more difficult to count. So you got to more so rely on Fibonacci and things like that. So when in doubt, zoom out. I mean, you got a 4-hour chart here that, let's look at the support and resistances. But before I do that, real quick, QNT, it has a better shape. It came much deeper, right? So we gotta look at some of these altcoins. I mean, we're already at the 1618. So we had a 618 retrace from this whole wave. I went ahead and added a little bit right in here. So we'll see how that plays. I mean, it could easily continue rolling down. So always know that. But, QNT is just one example. Another example, real quick, is XRP. This, to me, looks like it could be in the works of a running flat. Look at that. So we all know our running flats, right? If you've been following the channel, you know exactly what flats are. So basically, right, we had, a good thing to identify this is we came up, we had a top, right? We pulled back in 3 waves, and then we started climbing up. But we didn't just climb up, we chop, chop, chop. We broke the top, and then we kind of chop, 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 chop. Boom, hit to the high, liquidity grab, dump. Short, right? So this was what? 1, 2, 3. So this is an A, B, and now it looks like we're in wave C. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It could be an expanding flat, or it could be a running flat. We don't know. I would think it would be an expanded flat just because when I look at the higher time frames, it looks pretty bearish, for a good correction, right? Obviously, why am I saying that? Well, we hit the downward resistance line, right? We came right to the line, so we didn't break the line, right? We attempted to break it. Number 1, right? We also hit the bull market support band number 2, and then also we're coming off of 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 waves, hit the downward resistance line and the bull market support band, and we had a 4-hour 9 sell, and the 9 candle was a topping tail candle. So it gave every opportunity to say, okay, I got to take profits. Now, could the correction be over? Absolutely, it could be done, right? How much did we dump here from the top of this 9 all the way down? We had approximately about 4%, right? So not too much, but then again, the wave itself was only not even 10%. Well, about 10%. So we had a 40% correction compared to the wave itself, right? The ratio of how high the wave went, the ratio to the downside was approximately 40%. So we'll see if that means anything. Now, the Fibonacci level for this wave, this intermediate wave here, I mean, we're not even at the 50 yet. So that's why I'm like, I kind of want to see something else. And now that brings me back to Bitcoin. But actually, let me just do it real quick since I'm here. XRP. Obviously, this was a big area right here. See all this right here? This was our resistance. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had this sort of, let's just recap a little bit. We had this rising wedge, or this diagonal, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, we talked about this is most likely going to come down. And it did. We had an A, B, C pullback that came down 50% of this wave. And then it also back tested this wave. You say, I don't care about XRP, but this is important for all of crypto. Because it's essentially the same. Every crypto chart is telling a story, not for itself, but all of crypto, right? At least the big guys, the big coins, the top 10 for sure. So we came down, we back tested, and then bam, we broke this whole thing here. We broke out. And then obviously we got rejected up in here with a 9. So now what? Right? So we busted through this, but got rejected through this. So now we're in between this and in between this. We're sort of in no man's land, right? So what do you do in that time, right? Well, it depends what you're doing. If you're trading, if you're hodling, right? Dollar cost averaging is obviously the best way. But what I would, if I wanted to put a nice position for a trade, I would guess I would have to look at what Bitcoin's doing, but I would wait until we get down in here. So, right, we broke out. Now let's come down and back test it. Let's get an A, B, C back test right here, right? And this would be a 1, 2. And this would be very bullish, by the way. This would be a 1, 2, right? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2. And then we get another 1, 2. That back test this area here, bam, we have a massive, massive third wave. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I'm saying that looks really good for a potential count, for a bullish count to the upside, right? And look at this. This correction right here would be about the same size as this one here. So let's see if we can get a bigger correction in here, right? Before hopefully a big pump to the upside. That finally gets us above the bull market support band. So that would be the bullish look. Now the bearish look, right? Now XRP is not out of the woods, not even close. Like Bitcoin, it jumped above all its retracement levels. It's got 1 or 2 more. It's in between, I think, the 786 and the 886. It's got 1 more plus the all-time high. So it's not quite there yet, but the probabilities have drastically increased for it to break out. And then, you know, the whole thing with the Ethereum ETF, remember, when Bitcoin ETF came out, what happened? The market dumped. But what happened before that? The rumors came out, right? It's all about, you know, people hearing the rumors and they, you know, buy the rumor, sell the news, right? So the news is supposed to come out Thursday, right? So, you know, if people are expecting the Ethereum ETF to come out, it doesn't mean it takes effect immediately. I believe when Bitcoin ETF came out, we had a big dump, and I'll show you that soon. So, actually, let me show you right now so we can understand the scale of what it did. So basically, don't quote me on this, but I think it happened somewhere in here. Somewhere in here. So we had a pretty decent correction in here. We had a pretty decent correction. So this, by the way, was an expanded flat. We had A, we chopped up for B, we broke the top, but we didn't break it impulsively, we broke it correctively. That's how it gave you the signal that it was a trap. Then we came down for C. So that was a double trap, right? We trapped long bulls up here, and then bam, we trapped bears down here. And then we went on to set 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we have a big ABC, right? And now we're starting our march back to the upside. So you can see our inverse head and shoulders has totally broken out. So what is the measured move of the inverse head and shoulders? Well, let's take a look. So if I put that right about there, and then I take this here, you can see we still have quite a ways to go. I mean, we're about a little more than halfway there. So let me try to get that right on the dot. Close enough. So there we go. Now, what I can also do is say, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative with it. And I'm going to put it at the base of the candles. Or actually, let me go to the 4-hour chart and do that. So what I mean is, instead of doing at the bottom of the candles, I'm going to do it towards the top. So somewhere in the middle right here. Just to kind of give a rough idea rough number. So I'll go ahead and put this one here. And you can see this one still didn't make it, right? So I would say between 74,000 and 75,800, which is an all-time high. And I think both of them are all-time highs for Bitcoin. So, but yeah, let's talk about ideas for Bitcoin here so we can figure that out. I mean, yesterday is a victory. We had a major victory. We broke out. We accomplished getting above this this area in here. All of this, right? So this huge range we were in, we got to break out. Now, you see this deviation. It came and it broke the range, came back up. This could also be a deviation, right? So that's something you have to keep in mind. It could be a big mega trap, right? But again, we have to weigh our probabilities and things like that. So it's why it's certainly possible. It doesn't look like that would be the case, because usually if you get a deviation, usually the next one is sort of more has more conviction on that move. So where's Bitcoin going, right? Well, we broke this range in here. So what do you think is a good possibility for it to happen? Right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We broke the range. What if we come down A, B, and then we come down for C? And we back test, right? Here's all our resistance. We broke the resistance. Let's come all the way back down and back test the resistance around that 66, 67K area before getting a big move to the upside. And we might even build a base here for a little while before breaking out, right? So that's one idea. The other idea is to say, I think there's a fractal that Blockchain Backer posted. Let me see if I can find that. So here's his chart here. And what I'm going to do is I only need the bottom part. This one here. So here's the fractal, right? And I'm going to try to... So basically this fractal here, right? We were basically in this range, right? And we broke out of the range and we actually came all the way down and back tested it while holding above this low here. So we hit the low, we came down, we made one more low, and then we continued marching higher. So to have that sort of idea in mind, we can kind of translate that to this chart here. So obviously, you know, we come down, right? And we back test down in here, right? Pop up a little bit more. And then come down and hit the low without taking out this low here. So you could see how this low came and it didn't take out that first low right there. So that low would be the equivalent of this one here, I believe. Now, it could be this one here, but I don't like it because it's so deep in the range. It wouldn't make sense. So we basically come like this, and then kind of go sideways a little bit, and then break out. So that's kind of like a rough draft there, a rough estimate, you know, based off what this one did here. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Let me take that off. And so that would be one idea of how we can get down in here, right? And still technically be bullish, which would actually be good, right? Because what you're doing is, right, you have this, all of this price support underneath, and when you break above this, you could see it's it's not really a base, it's more like a box. The horizontal, the length of it, right? Or I should say the length or the width. The length of it is, how high it is. It's pretty deep, right? Compared to the width of it, it's relatively small. So typically when that happens, you want to build some support up here, right, on top of this base before you get rolling back to the upside. So, and that kind of matches up with the fractal. It also matches up with the total 3 fractal. So, that would be what I could imagine what would happen for Bitcoin. Now, there is a chance that this could easily just flag out, right? Boom, 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 and then keep pumping, right? And then have that final wave and then flag out like this before going higher. So that's also in the cards, right? So there's 2 different ways. Either we come down, we back test, build a base, go, or this is some type of 1, 2, all of this is 3, 4, and then we get 5. And then once we get that 5th wave breaking the top, we kind of flag out a little bit, right? And then we continue higher. So something like that, right? Which would be a 1, 2, another 1, 2, and then moonshot. Hopefully that's the case, right? So yeah, we're at a little bit of a crossroads here. Personally, which one do I think is more likely? It's a tough one, because if this is pulling back for a wave 4, we can easily get a wave 5. So I would decline to answer that until, let me zoom in here, until this wave on the 15-minute chart gets resolved. If we come up here and get rejected, and then we start coming down pretty hard, and then even taking out this low, I would imagine we're not going to get that 5th wave, because it already is pretty big. It's a pretty big wave. This length here, this ABC, is pretty big for the size, right? If this is going to be a 1, 2, 3, and all of this is 4 and 5, it's a pretty big wave 4. So if support's going to come in, it needs to do it now. So either support is going to hold in and we come up and we make a B wave, and then we come down for wave C, right? So those are the 2 options. I think we're going to get some kind of bounce, maybe a little one, maybe a bigger one, but it's either going to be a bigger A, B, C, and then that fractal we just talked about where we kind of build a base and then go, or we're going to, this is, 1, 2, 3, and then we flag out, right? Or I'm sorry, we A, B, C down, which we did, and then we shoot up for a wave 5, right? And if we do that, then the wave's done, and then it's more like flagging out in here before the next run up. So I think it would be better for the altcoins if Bitcoin went ahead and made one more wave. That way they get more out of their resistance areas, and it reduces the risk, for something like XRP to get trapped underneath here, right? Because if Bitcoin still has to come down, right, then that means XRP does as well, and it probably would be deep. Something like that. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking there. So let's transition over to Theta. Let's take a look at Theta. Now, Theta, what can you say about Theta? Theta is the winner. I said it yesterday, and I'm saying it again today. Wow, Theta is not even correcting. What is this, guys? Does this look familiar? This could totally be, right, what Theta Fuel is doing on the bigger time frame. Now, I don't know if that's the case, because that was a pretty powerful 9 right there. We had a 9, right, and we're starting to pump up. It'll be interesting if we can break these red dots. It could just be retracing. I'm not sure. It's kind of a wait-and-see moment. Now, if Bitcoin goes up into that 5th wave, Theta can totally rip. right? But if Bitcoin wants to come down and do more so what the fractal did, then it can obviously pull back and maybe backtest, which would actually be very good and healthy for Theta because it had such a big day, right? I mean, Theta was out there, running a marathon, right? Or running quite a bit of time. While like, something like XRP, it only walked around the block. So, Theta's like had too many energy drinks or something because compared to the other coins, it's not even close. And as far as percentage terms, because the thing was, Ethereum was the big winner, was really the winner, right? But because Theta acted so strongly yesterday without any news, right? Because it was all in Ethereum news. It was Ethereum ETF, right? That's why Ethereum Classic pumped big time. And that's why Ethereum pumped big time. But that was granted. That was granted for that to happen. But then why did Theta do it, right? Why did Theta push almost a 20% move yesterday? Well, that's interesting to me. That shows a lot of strength. But let me show you Theta Fuel, and I'm going to show you, what we've been looking at here, right? So could it be possible that the Theta small time frame is doing what Theta Fuel is doing on the larger time frame, right? Remember what we talked about? We talked about Theta Fuel doing this, right? It could be some type of running flat. And this is a 1, and then we have an ABC, and now we're kind of, building a base here at the bottom of that ceiling, hopefully getting ready to continue marching to the upside. Based off those Bitcoin fractals that I shared on how Theta Fuel could be doing what it's doing. Also, it's back testing, the top of its Wyckoff accumulation schematic, right? So you break out and you kind of play around in here before breaking out. That's typically what happens in a Wyckoff schematic. And the fact that it's doing some type of ascending channel slash running flat, it's got that bullish feel to it. So, that's kind of what it looks like. Now let's go back to Theta. By the way, look at Theta versus Bitcoin. We'll have to talk about that soon, but look at that. That's pretty strong. That looks like it needs to come up here. So Theta versus BTC is looking great. But let's go back to Theta. And then I zoomed into the 15-minute chart. So we have that same kind of look, right? Where we have this little channel here, right? So is that the same thing, kind of like a running flat, right? Because it certainly has that same look. Theta Fuel had this little move like this, and then it came up, and then it has this leading type of wave in here. So here we go. I put them side by side, and you can kind of see. So Theta Fuel is on the top, and then Theta is on the bottom. So you can kind of see what I'm explaining here, and that the stupid drawing thing down here is in my way, but we could see 1, 2, we had this little hump here, and then we came up and we created this thing, right? Same thing here. Had this 1, 2, created a little hump, we shot up, and now we're sort of in this little flagging area. So I noticed that, and that's why it pays to pay attention, because then you can go back and say, look at this, I remember what this looked like back on another chart, so I can kind of see what happened. Unfortunately, in this situation, we don't know what happens with either one of them because they're both somewhat in the same spot. So whatever happens to Theta, well, it could happen to Theta Fuel, just on a bigger time frame. But yeah, that's both charts side by side. So let's see how that plays. Because when I look at Theta, we have another. Let's actually go to the 4-hour chart. We have 3.5 hours on this candle, and this candle could be closing above all of these candles. And that's interesting because when you look at something like Filecoin, well, look at that. Filecoin is doing it as well. I didn't even realize. Let's see. Matic. No, okay. Matic is dumping, right? SHIB, same kind of thing. It's kind of dumping, not really doing so well. I'm sure, let's see, Dogecoin, kind of flat. Total 3. So basically Total 3 is telling the story because that's all of the altcoins, and it's basically, pulling back, right? So the majority of the markets, you can see Bitcoin, it's pulling back, right? But when you go and look at Theta, Theta, for goodness sake, it's still pumping. And after what it did yesterday, all of that pumping action, you would think it would have more of a pullback. But that's why I'm saying, I tweeted out, I think 2 days ago, I saying, Theta looks like it's recovering faster, it's bouncing stronger, which means when you look for charts, you want to see which ones have the most strength and ride the biggest wave, right? So for Theta's instance, it had the biggest, compared to like Ethereum, Classic and Ethereum, it had a pretty big wave, comparing it to the other charts. So you can see we totally cleared that inverse head and shoulders. Where are we on the measurement here? So actually what I'm going to do is take it from here to the base of the candles. I don't really care about the wicks, up to the neckline. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to slide it over. So we're not quite there yet. So that's interesting. So Bitcoin isn't there, right, to its measured move. Theta isn't there to its measured move. So what does that mean? Well, when we go back to Bitcoin, and I'll go back to Theta in a second, but this is important, we could be having another wave to the upside. Remember, I gave 2 ideas. The fractal idea, which says, hey, we come back down here, we back test, we play around, we build a base, we go, right? The other idea is to say that this is 1, 2, all of this is 3, this is 4, and then we still get wave 5. And then we flag out, and then we go, right? Something like that. So, whatever happens here, that's going to be a big decider. So we'll see. We might get one more wave. It's only Tuesday. Maybe we get a big Wednesday pump, and then Thursday it gets a little bit of a pump, but not so much. Maybe the Ethereum thing gets approved, and we have one more pump, and then retail buys into it, and then they dump it later. So we'll see. Either way, it doesn't really matter because I think, we're in a bullish situation. You can't ask for anything more than what we got. We got an ABC pullback to the bull market support band. We had, 5 waves in wave C. We had a significant enough drop. And we also, look at this. This is the big news for me, is getting all the way up to the 886. We're pulling back, but that's okay. Right? You don't expect it to slice right through it all the time. So as long as we stay above 60, I would say above this low here, which would be 65,000, I'd say we're still bullish, right? As long as we stay above 65, 66, I say in the short term, we're still bullish. On the macro, we've been bullish. So, so maybe Theta might, and the fact that, when you measure this inverse head and shoulders here, and the fact that Bitcoin still hasn't met its measured move, could mean, right, we still have one more wave to go up like this, right? That would make sense. And it also makes sense because you would take out this top here, right there, I'm going to actually put 2 lines, one on the body and one on the wick. And you can see the price didn't hit it yet. So it wouldn't surprise me if we came up and we take out that, because what does that do, right? There's a lot of shorts and their stop losses right here. So it wouldn't surprise me to come up and take out their stop, right? Liquidate everybody. There's a lot of liquidity here. So a lot of liquidity would go long. Oh, look, we broke the top, so I'm going to go long. That's not what you do, right? Because why would you go long? Look at, you've been going up since May 1st. Up, 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 right? And, you know, it would appear like you had 1, 2, and then we get 3. You would need to flag out in here, right? Because I said 2 ideas. One is the fractal. We base out, we go. The other, we have another wave to the upside, then we flag out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We're flagging out for wave 4, and then we get wave 5. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see how this plays, but it's looking pretty good. XRP versus Bitcoin. That fractal I shared before, it didn't play out. I was hoping we can hold support here, just like that fractal, but you can see we came right through. There still could be a 1-2, right? We have that shape, but I don't like it because it just looks like 3 waves. It looks like we have 1, 2, 3. You can't say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because wave 3 is the smallest wave. So it's a shape, right? And then we have, this looks like an ABC. We have an A, B, and C. So if this is part of a bigger 3-wave move, we want to see something like that. And that would be part of a bigger ABC to get us back over here. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. But, you know, if Bitcoin starts to run and goes to a 80, 100K, then a lot of times the altcoins will cool off and then wait, and then rotations will occur. So let's go back to Theta and take a look at the smaller time frame here. Let's go to the 10-minute chart. I'm sure we have bearish divergence. Not so much. Let's see. Yeah, on the 15-minute it's more clear. So it could be creating some type of running correction where it kind of oscillates to the upside, right? But then at the same time it's cooling off the RSI. So I would wait until the RSI, you know, gets down in here. And maybe we go sideways a little bit before coming out and breaking the top. So it's a tough one. If you made money on Theta, I mean, you can take a little bit of profit because you don't know, right? You don't know if it's going to come all the way back down and back test $2.25 up to $2.31. And when I zoom out even further, yeah, so about, I would say between this zone right here would be, in my opinion, a good spot to add to my position. But man, just by looking at it, it still looks pretty bullish. Because sometimes they like to take it up and then they hit the high and then they come down, right? So they make you think, okay, we're going to that 5th wave. But what happens is they take the top out and then they bring it down, right? So in some type of ABC down here, and then we continue higher, which would be great because why? Because that would be a 1-2, 1-2, and that would mean incredibly bullish price action. So, you know what I mean by that, I can show you an example how it comes up here, it chops up, takes the top out, and then brings you right back down. I think Filecoin did it. Let's see. Did Filecoin do it? Yeah, I did. So let me show you Filecoin right here. I was looking at that too. So right here. So this could be where theta is right now. So you can see it started to look bullish, right? It started to look kind of like a running flat maybe. And what it did is it came up like this, right? This is a beautiful example, right? And then it came down and then bam, it took the top. And what happened? It came all the way down and then it started to, let's zoom out, 3 minute. And then it started to correct. So it kind of looks like, I'm not sure what this is. We just have to wait and see. But yeah, and I think even, let's see, what did Matic do? Matic had a normal ABC. Let's see, I think SHIB did it too. Yeah, I mean, kind of so, where it had this little move, but it came off of a dump. That's the difference, right? When we look at theta, there's no dump. It's just going up. So, you know, let's see. Did Filecoin have the dump? It did. It did have a little, well, a little bit. It had a dump here, and then it started to go higher. So let me go back to theta. Yeah, theta had a dump here, but let's see. We have, this could be, let's see, if this is going to be a running flat, see, it's kind of deviated a little bit. So I would say A, we come up for B. So we have A, 1, 2, 3 for wave B. And now we're working on wave C. So this could be 1, 2, and then this is another 1, 2, and now we're going down. Something like that. Right? And that could be in an expanded flat. So you would have A, B, and then C, and then you would, you know, consider taking it long, or we'll see. I mean, it could get down deeper though. So a lot of times, like I said, they'll drizzle it up, they'll come up, they'll take the top out, they'll make you think, okay, the fifth wave is going now, but then they bring it down, right? And then they take it to the fifth wave. So, you know, you want to be a little bit cautious and kind of let the chart tell you what it's going to do. Where, if that count were to play, where could we go down to? Maybe $2.30 to $2.40. We don't want it to, if this is going to be a wave 4, we don't want it to be too deep. But honestly, you know, to make things less complicated, I would just wait for a back test. If we don't get the back test, then we're going to get another fifth wave. And if we get another fifth wave, then I would wait for the ABC. So, you know, we'll see how that plays out. Speaking of, let's look at SHIB real quick. So I still like SHIB on the bigger time frames. It's just got a really, it's like almost too perfect of this trend line. I could put it on the bodies, I could put it on the wicks. I'm just gonna put it where there we go, somewhere like that. So I like the fact that we broke out of here, and then we had a three-way pullback. We tested it, the downward resistance line, and now we're starting to go higher. But what we really want to see is support get held in here. You can see this box right here. This little trading range. We really want that to hold, right? Because we busted through it. Now let's hold it. So, and then even you can expand it out to here. So we're kind of, SHIB is kind of stuck, right, in between a rock and a hard place. So it's in between this upper part of the range and the bottom part. So it's kind of like waiting to see when that area cracks. But yeah, that's kind of what SHIB is doing now. You know, because when I look at XRP, that big 4-hour candle, it kind of looked like, you know, it was getting completed there. But let's take that off. You could see we might have a flat here working, right? We have A, right? You can see we're chop, chop, chop. We break the top, but we did it correctively. And then what happened? We came down fast, or we came down, you know, pretty sudden. And it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we might be done. And then this is a wave 1. Let's get an ABC pullback and let's continue higher. I mean, that would be nice. But something tells me probably won't be that easy, right? It's never that easy. They always throw you curveballs, and they always make things, you know, the market makers, they like to make things complex. They give you a certain look, and then they flip it on you. So, you know, you kind of have to be quick on your feet about it. But if you're a hodler, if you're an investor, it don't mean anything. It's nothing, right? You don't have to stress about it. But since I do it for a living, I got to worry about it, right? So sometimes it's you know, kind of tough to sleep, right? Because last night, you know, you got to keep looking at your phone and seeing what it's doing, seeing how your trade is doing, seeing if you should take profit, seeing if you should adjust it or whatever. So it kind of sucks that way. But that's why I recommend more swing trading, because you can kind of just leave it, set it, and forget it. And I do that as well. But, you know, for day trading, I need today money, now money. I need to get paid so I can pay my bills here. But yeah, I think this has a good chance at being finished. Let's take a look at Bitcoin again. Okay, yeah, I like it. I mean, Bitcoin has that 5-wave shape to it, right? We have 1, 2. All of this is 3. We have this B wave in the middle, and then bam, we hit the 5th wave, right? The thing that I don't know is this 5th wave done, right? Because the 5th wave can be 1, 2, and then we come down for 3, 4, 5. And then the 5th wave is done. So that could totally happen. So that's why I'm like, I want to wait and see. It doesn't look like it's finished, right? It just looks like it needs a little bit more maturing. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if we get down to that 50% area. You know, so at least somewhere in here. I don't really want to break that 702. So I would say somewhere around there for the small time frame. So that's kind of what we got here. Anything else? XRP. Yeah, XRP only has a 3-wave shape though. You know, it kind of looks like you had 1, 2, 3. So, I mean, we got 3 waves. Let's see if we get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, some kind of diag. I mean, it could be, this could have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a WXY as well, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the 5th you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this 3-wave shape is a WXY. And now what you got is a wave 1, and then an ABC pullback, and now we're ready to go again. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Some charts give me a little better feelings. Other charts, I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, look at this. Right? When you zoom out, let's go back to Theta, and you zoom all the way out, at least to the 4-hour chart. Look what you got. Does that look finished to you? To me, we got to get up here. So the direction is up. Whatever, what we're doing is we're looking at the microscopic levels to see if we can get any edge. A little ABC pullback, maybe we flag out, we hit the high again. Does it really matter? Does it really matter? Because, when you break above this line here, which we totally did, we broke above it. We're bullish. That's basically it. So the big thing we got to do, though, is clear all of this, right? This is a big level because you got this resistance here, right here, and now we're here. So it wouldn't surprise me that we get some type of bigger pullback. To slice through it on the first try, obviously would be incredibly bullish. But if we did come back down and even retest some of these lows down in here, or even test the bottom of the downward resistance line, that would actually be good, because then it would allow people to get into the market. If it just goes up, you don't really have anywhere to get in. And sometimes crypto does that. It leaves you behind. It makes a pump. It pushes the sentiment out there to make you think, okay, we're getting started. I'll wait for a pullback. It goes up a little more. Okay, I'll wait for a pullback. Goes up a little bit more. And then, okay, we're at resistance. I'm going to wait. And then, bam, it busts through the resistance. Then you can't take it anymore. Then you buy. Then it pulls back. So they have a way of doing that to people. I've been there. I've done it many, many times. So I've been burned on doing things like that. And, eventually you get it. Eventually you start to figure things out. It takes time, right? So that's why, again, my videos are a little bit longer than most, because I like to go through the process of this rather than just kind of show you what I think it's going to do. In 2 years, you'll thank me for it. So we see if we're around that long. I plan on continuing to do YouTube. We'll just keep it rolling. So we'll see what the future holds. But basically, when I go back to XRP real fast, I see that 9. That's pretty bad. Not bad, but it's pretty significant. That was a big topping tail here. So either we want a 1 to 4 candle correction. So right now we have 1, 2. So I'm going to allow another 8 hours. And if we don't get a bid, then I'm thinking, okay, we're probably going to have to come down a lot deeper, maybe down in here, which wouldn't be that bad. But then again, it's shaping up to be either way, a 1 2 1 2, right? So if we get that 1 2 1 2, I think it's going to be very bullish. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, what do you guys think? I'm still liking this fractal here from Crypto Billowoo, I think his name, on Twitter. We have the key deadline this Thursday. You can pause and read that for Ethereum. If you made it this far, please consider liking this video and dropping a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Also, leave a comment if you want me to take a look at any coins. And if you want to support the channel, that's always greatly appreciated through the YouTube tip jar. But other than that, I'm still relatively bullish. I want to see this thing get worked out, and let's continue moving it upwards. Cheers.